A very good evening to all our viewers. It's Sunday the 25th of January and welcome to News First Weekend. I'm Arundhati Mudarnayaka. First a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
People of Rajaratha honour President Maitri.
අපි පරාජයට පත් වුණා නම් මම පරාජයට පත් වුණා නම් සමහර විට බොහෝ වෙලාවට අපි ඉන්නේ මහ පොළොවේ පස්සටයි කියන එක මම පැහැදිලිවම දන්නවා. මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහතුමා අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා විශාල කැපවීමක් කළා. ඒ ගියේ සටනේ තිබුණේ අන්ත දෙකයි. මැදක් නැහැ. රජගෙදර නැත්තම් හිරගෙදර.
Another expose. Security officials at the Bandaranaike airport sexually harass passengers. 2 luxury bedrooms at the Magampura harbour. A scuffle at a good governance meeting.
Starting off with a look at our top story for tonight. Last night on Primetime News, we exposed the extortion racket carried out by security officers at the Katunayake International Airport. As Minister of Aviation Services, Faisal Mustafa is taking drastic measures to transform the airport into a prestigious institution, another side of this unacceptable behaviour and practice has been uncovered. The new revelation is the extortion of money from female migrant workers who returned from the Middle East and the sexual harassment of female foreign nationals. However, note that officers who perform their duties to the letter do not fall into this category.
Sri Lankan migrant workers who are employed in the Middle East and other countries generate the highest foreign exchange for the country. According to statistics, the revenue generated last year alone tops a staggering 823 billion rupees. Migrant workers who make the ultimate sacrifice of leaving their families and earn an income in a foreign land are not left alone by these devious security officers at the airport who hunt down these innocent women like hawks. Airport security is charged with extorting money from women who return to the island with a large quantity of foreign goods. This footage bears testament to this fact. It is reported that failing to pay these corrupt officials result in unnecessary delays and pressure at the airport. Most often than not, the luggage of some expatriates go missing in light of their refusal to fill the pockets of these corrupt officials. Sources from the airport report that it is not a tough task to put a complete stop to this extortion racket. However, it seems that none of the authorities are interested in putting a full stop to it due to the political influence created through various unions and associations. As highlighted by the Newsfirst expose last night on our primetime news bulletins, an airport security officer is only allowed to have 300 rupees in his or her possession while on duty. Therefore, nabbing corrupt security officers during a spot inspection is deemed an easy task. Another malpractice that is alleged to be taking place at the BIA is the sex mafia. It is reported that female foreign nationals come under the close scrutiny of certain security officials who harass these women for sexual pleasure. The following is a confession made by a Swedish national of her bitter experience at the hands of a certain security officer.
Can you explain at what time this is incident started? Nearly half an hour, 10 minutes before.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. When you go to the toilet door, he asks you to come inside the toilet.
No toilet, it was like cleaning.
Clean room, right,
Yeah,
that's right.
he tried to touch me all over. And kiss me.
Yeah.
And touch me.
He asked to come in or you asked to come in?
No.
He asked to come, right.
He said, I follow him.
Follow him.
I didn't know why.
You don't know.
No.
So this is the case we want to know. Immediately we are taking, my chief advised me to get clear instruction from you. We are taking action against him. This is secret. We are not
This footage clearly highlights the urgent need to free the airport from extortionists and sexual predators who not only bring disrepute to the airport but to the country as well.
An event to extend the wishes of the residents of the Rajarata to President Maithripala Sirisena took place today at the Thopawa Mahavidyalaya grounds in Polonnaruwa.
The objective of this ceremony was to highlight the appointment of a farming son as president of the country by changing the previous administration.
A major war took place over here. They tried to destroy Polonnaruwa by the use of various forces. I wish to extend this gratitude on behalf of all of us here today to the people of Polonnaruwa who gave us a resounding victory. For the first time in history since Atun Sinhala, a head of state has emerged from Rajarata. In this battle, our President Maithripala Sirisena made a great sacrifice. There were only two ends of this battle. There was no center to it. It was either the castle or the gallows. We stepped into the electoral battle, prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. I am sure that if I had suffered defeat, I would be under the mounds of earth. Under the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration, everything was in place to arrest my children once the elections are over. All arrangements were being made to torture me. Today, Mahinda Rajapaksa is saying that he has no house to live in. I wish to ask him whether he would have given me a house to live in if I had lost the election. If I had refused to accept the position of chairman of the SLFP, we would not be able to take another step in this journey. Someone might say that the option is to dissolve parliament and call for an election. If that is the case, the 100-day plan will be of no value. Therefore, whatever good we have, whatever morals we have, we will use it together with all the other parties headed by the SLFP and make the required constitutional changes and fulfill our promises to the people. Recently, I told the General Secretary of the UPFA, Susil Premajayantha, that it was at his child's wedding that the first secretive meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena and I took place. That day, I told my wife that I will be letting go of all my positions and that I will resign from the government and that I will join with the opposition. She was shocked. When we held discussions later on, he said that the doctor and I would speak at all public meetings. The others will share the meetings that they would speak at. We did not fly to these places like the king. We walked to the places.
Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena visited the Sri Mahabodhiya this morning and obtained blessings. The President, who arrived in Anuradhapura, first paid a visit to the Atamasthanapathi, Venerable Pallegama Srinivasa Thero. Later, the President paid homage to the Jayasri Mahabodhi. President Maithripala Sirisena subsequently visited the Ruwan Valley Saya and performed religious observances. Ministers P. Harrison, Chandrani Bandara and others were present at the occasion. Blessings were invoked by the Mahasangha led by the Anunayaka of the Sri Lanka Ramanya Maha sect, Venerable Ginambe Ananda Thero, on President Maithripala Sirisena, who visited the Sri Sarananda Maha Piriven Viharaya in Anuradhapura. According to the President's media unit, Venerable Ginambe Ananda Thero had said that a son of a farmer being elected as the head of state has raised expectations of all people who love the country. The President's media unit added that the Mahasangha had commended the President as a leader who understands the pain and sorrow of the people and has strength and courage to steer the country in the right direction.
Welcome back. Here with News First. Media was allowed to see areas of the Magampura harbour which was not open to public before. This opportunity was provided when Minister of Ports and Shipping toured the Hambantota Harbour and the Mattala International Airport today.
The minister first toured the administrative building of the Hambantota Harbour and then held discussions with the officials there. The group, including the media, who inspected the 11th floor of the building, could witness 2 luxury bedrooms used by the former minister and chairman.
We
will not stop it if it does not harm the country. But we see the great damage caused to the country with this. So we have to take a decision with regard to this from the committee. We have also decided to hold certain agreements. We will take necessary legal steps.
300 employees who were deployed for work at the Hambantota Harbour by the main power agency are fearing that they may lose their jobs. The minister said he will take measures to solve the matter. Later, the group, including the minister, visited the Mattala International Airport.
On most days, only 2 airplanes come here. We will be focusing on whether we could bring more planes like budget airlines to Mattala after holding discussions with other countries. Not only that, we have a huge issue with the cost involved here. We must make some urgent decisions.
A clash broke out between 2 factions during a meeting of the National Movement for Good Governance.
The meeting was held in the Saindamaruda area in Ampara last evening. During the meeting, which was organized to appreciate the public who were instrumental in making a change in the presidential election, a group seated at the back of the hall had pelted stones. The clash which broke out thereafter had to be resolved with the intervention of the police.
PL Kirthasinghe, who resigned from duties as the OIC of the Vulnerable Police after alleged political interference into duty, resumed duties as the officer in charge of the Vulnerable Police today.
The Inspector of Police resigned when former Deputy Minister Nishantha Muthuhettigama arrived at the police station and ordered the release of a group of suspects who were arrested for setting ablaze a stage of then presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. It has come to a point where I can no longer execute my duties. By working for politicians starting from the local level, a situation has arisen where I can no longer enforce the law of the country. In order to protect the name of the police department, I have returned my uniform. Through this example, I hope that the future of the police department will be successful. He was reinstated after an appeal was made to the Inspector General of Police, stating that the duties could now be carried out independently subsequent to the presidential election. However, when contacted by Newsfirst, police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that the investigations launched when the Vulnerable OIC resigned from his post will still continue.
Speaking at an event held in Anamadu Puttalam today, Minister of State for Power and Energy Palitharange Bandara noted that the opposition has been quick to criticise the 100-day program of the government a mere 20 days into it.
The event was held to mark the opening of an office of the Ministry of Power and Energy in the Anamadu area. Vasudeva Nanayakkara says that this is not a national government. Former Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that we said the fuel price would be reduced to 50 rupees in the 100 days and he's asking what happened to the missing zeros. For 19 to 20 years, these people were giving the people nothing but zeros. After losing government, they are levelling unfair criticisms. We will fulfill the promise made to the people. It is not a 20-day promissory note. It is a 100-day promissory note. They should be ashamed.
දින 100ක පොරොන්දු පත්‍රයක්. ඒගොල්ලෝ ලැජ්ජා වෙන්න ඕන. දැන් ජනතාව ඉදිරියට ඇඳුම් ඇඳගෙන නෙමෙයි යුදු යන්න ඕන.
Committee to collect information on victims of injustice and vengeance under the Rajapaksa regime. Members of the committee convened a media briefing today to state their intentions.
ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ඉඳලා ඇමතිවරු
We call on the people of this country, from the President to the Ministers, MPs and Pradesh Sabha members, to submit information to us on people who were subject to injustices under the political and state mechanism of the Rajapaksa regime. We are seeking information on people who lost lands, people who lost property and businesses, injustices in the financial sector, and we are also looking for injustices and killings of public officials, professionals, youth, journalists, artists and even sports persons. As a party, we will intervene and exert pressure within institutions like the law, the ministry, the bribery commission and other institutions, and exert pressure externally to ensure that optimum justice is served to the people. This is the message we wanted to give to the people through the media today.
Now, those were the views expressed by the committee appointed by the JVP to collect information on victims of injustice and vengeance under the Rajapaksa regime. Moving on, Minister of Housing and Samurdhi Sajith Premadasa says that even Samurdhi funds have been used for propaganda activities by the previous government during the run-up to the presidential election.
An event was organised by area residents of Walas Mulla in Hambantota to welcome Minister Sajith Premadasa and State Minister Dilip Vedarachi. The almanac that is usually made in April was made in December this time. Billions of rupees, the money of the Samurdhi recipients, was spent to distend certain political characters through the media unit of the Samurdhi. I have discovered all the anomalies in the Ministry of Housing and Samurdhi. I wish to say that all the finances belonging to both ministries that were stolen will be given back to the people of the country. On the 15th, the European Union stopped importing tuna from Sri Lanka. This was done owing to the malpractices of the government and because the steps that were asked to be enacted were not enacted. It was discussed with our party leader at the cabinet to uplift the economy of the fisherfolk, to discuss with the European Union and to bring in recommendations and to enact.
Newsfirst carried a story yesterday of the residents of the Gunasingapura flats in Colombo 12 who have been rendered helpless as a result of the abrupt halt to the renovations on the housing complex.
Minister of Housing and Samurdhi Sajith Premadasa, who responded to the incident last night, has ordered the Secretary to the Ministry, Vimalasiri Pereira, to continue the renovations. While steps were taken to continue the renovations of the said project, the Minister has ordered to continue the renovation process of all projects under the Nagamapura water scheme.
Taking a look at a developing story for tonight, police seized an SUV from a garage in Dompe that was being driven using 3 number plates. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan has said that the SUV belonged to the former Deputy Minister of Disaster Management, Tulip Vijayasekara.
When officers from the Biyagama police found the vehicle based on information received by the Intelligence Division for the Western Province, there were no number plates on the front of the SUV. However, police said that they found 3 different contradicting number plates inside the vehicle. Police added that the vehicle is currently in the custody of the Biyagama police.
An alarm to parents. A 4-year-old child was killed last night when she fell off the 22nd floor of a private apartment complex in the Havelock town. The police stated that the child had fallen off the building around 7 p.m. yesterday. The police added that the child had succumbed to her injuries after being admitted to the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital. The deceased, who was a resident of Mabola Wattala, has arrived at the housing complex to visit a relative who lived there. The police said that the child had gone up to the 22nd floor using the elevator. The post-mortem examination revealed that the child died after falling from the building. A demonstration was carried out by a group of people who lost their homes and amenities as a result of the Umaoya project. The protest was held in the Bandaravilla town.
Demonstrators charge that due to the Umaoya project, they do not have clean drinking water and water for their crops. Demonstrators also say that 120 natural wells from Hiloya and Makul Ella have completely dried out. Three main roads were experiencing heavy traffic due to the protest.
The president may not have known about this. Leaders in this country may not even be aware of this. We request the immediate halt of this construction. They may have taken some sort of bribe from the people and may have put it in their pockets. But this water is required for the children of the future.
JVP Uva Provincial Councillor Samantha Vidyaratna and a group of residents arrived at the location.
They commenced large-scale projects and with it came wide-scale corruption under the Rajapaksa regime. We have always told them to put an end to such projects. We are not asking for employment, we are not asking for relief, but what we ask for is to protect the lives of the people.
Meanwhile, the Siyanaya Parisarya Surakeme organisation engaged in a demonstration demanding the officials to hold a streamlined investigation into the Ratapaswala water problem which had inconvenienced many residents. The protest was held in the Valley town.
People had to be murdered last year because they requested a drop of water. It was Basil Rajapaksa who was the district leader at the time, but he could not even look into the people's needs for even 5 minutes. Water must also be distributed to places like Valley and areas surrounding Valley. The Ratapaswala junction is yet to receive tap water. Immediately address the people's needs.
A formal letter was presented to Minister John Amaratunga, who arrived at the location.
They received a bullet by the army and soldiers were requesting for water. Demonstrators from Ratapaswala, Valley who were suffering from the drinking water problem came to talk about their rights and had to go home after being assaulted. I will take this letter and first meet with the President. Then I will be giving this to the Prime Minister. I will make a request.
The renovation work of the entrance road to Malawi, which commenced as part of presidential election pledge of the previous regime, had come to a standstill, causing the area to become a dust zone.
Renovation work on this road commenced by the Kaduwela Municipal Council, promising that the work would be completed before the end of the presidential election. At the outset, small stones were piled up on the Udawata road in Malawi. It has been 17 days since the end of the presidential election. However, there is no sign of construction. Before election, Buddhadasa and Sumit Attidiya said that this road would be carpeted before the election. They said this would be completed in 45 days. They carried out work on around 3 days before the election. Now the work has come to a standstill. We were told that the road would be completed before the election. Buddhadasa said that we will be able to go and vote in a new road. Residents have been severely inconvenienced now.
Our children became sick because of the dust from the road. Some children have been hospitalized due to wheezing caused by dust. We request that some solution be given to us.
The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, which is underway in Davos, Switzerland, convenes global leaders from across business, government, international organizations, academia and civil society for strategic dialogues which map the key transformations reshaping the world. The Colombo Global Shapers Hub, which is part of the Global Shapers community, an initiative of the World Economic Forum, was selected to join in a session on conflict resolution which took place in Davos yesterday.
Interesting point. Let's hear from the audience.
The Shaping Davos sessions hosted by the Global Shapers community connects 40 cities from around the world to discuss 10 topics related to the theme of the World Economic Forum's annual meeting 2015. The Colombo Global Shapers Hub joined fellow Shapers from Juba in South Sudan, Gaza and San Salvador to discuss conflict resolution, rebuilding trust in conflict areas. The Colombo Global Shapers Hub was represented by Newsfirst anchor Mahina Bongzo.
The first set of people they really go to in times of conflict are the youth. The youth are the first people they go to because the youth are the ones who need to be armed to engage in conflict. At the same time, it is important for the leadership and all parties involved to understand, following a conflict at a time of peace, just as much attention you pay to youth during conflict, you must pay to youth after conflict. That is, by encouraging them, to educate them, to have them actively involved in the rebuilding of a nation. And that comes with really creating trust amongst youth and the rehabilitation of youth.
Thank you very much, Mahina. She's a news anchor with MTV, NBC networks in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Thank you.
The Global Shapers joined a panel consisting of former New Zealand Prime Minister as well as the Administrator of the United Nations Development Programme in New York, Helen E. Clark, President and Chief Executive Officer of International Crisis Group, Jean-Marie Gueno, and Juan Carlos Benzon Bueno, who is the Minister of National Defense of Colombia. The panel was moderated by Moise Naim, internationally syndicated columnist and best-selling author.
And I think it's the same thing for internal conflicts, for civil wars. It doesn't come quickly because, of course, many people have died. There's been a lot of passion. You have to understand the narrative of your enemy. You have to understand his fears. Most conflicts are born out of mutual fears. But I think this effort at truth and reconciliation, as Ellen said, but also historical truth. And when the question of academia, I think the more you can have an objective reading of what is happening, the more you can have histories that are not geared to create one narrow perspective, I think the better the chance for peace.
Very good. Thank you. Any other question from the audience? Yes.
Superior hiding power. Causeway Paints. Eternal color of life.
The 22nd Kalapul, organised by the George Gate Foundation in association with the John Keels Group, was held today. Newsfirst Katharina Chang filed this report.
Launched in 1993, the concept for the Kalapula came through the open-air summer arts fairs held in Europe. In the recent past, Kalapul has featured over 300 artists and sculptors from various parts of Sri Lanka, taking their creations to the national and international clientele. The opening ceremony was held under the auspices of the High Commissioner of India in Sri Lanka, Y.K. Singha.
I've been impressed with how well attended it is by the people. There seems to definitely be a sense of prosperity.
Yeah, I came here last year as well, and I saw some, really creative pieces by everybody here. And this year is pretty interesting as well.
A lot of different artists bringing new different ideas, which I think is quite nice. And it's probably a very good exposure for them as well as for us to go and buy some of their paintings.
Kalapula is an important exhibition for artists because it is here that artists from all over the country gather. This is a good place where we can sell our paintings and meet other artists as well.
This year, the art festival saw the participation of over 250 local and foreign artists. The Kalapula festival is held annually on the last Sunday of January.
Well, if you're an art enthusiast just like myself, this is the place to be, Kalapula 2015, where of course artists from around the country, local talent have come here in one platform to of course showcase their art in various arts and forms. Now it's not just paintings, we have sculptures as well as artists who have come here drawing pictures of various different people.
Moving on to sports news now, Ross Taylor and Kane Williamson fell agonisingly short of centuries, but New Zealand's imposing total ensured it beat Sri Lanka by 120 runs in the 6th one-day international to take an unassailable 4-1 lead in their 7-match series.
The Kiwis got off to a horrible start, losing Brenton McCullum for a duck. Martin Guptill was sent back to the dressing room by Thisara Pereira for 28. Taylor and Williamson came together with New Zealand on 2 for 59 and were not separated until the latter was run out for 97 due to a communication breakdown. The 30-year-old Taylor sought to make amends by anchoring the horse through to the final overs and was in sight of his 12th one-day century when he was trapped leg before by Tilakratna Dilshan for 96. Anderson added a quick-fire 40 while Grant Elliott was 21 not out, with Kyle Mills gone out for 0 on the final ball of the innings. Sri Lanka's chase looked positive with the first wicket partnership between Thirimana and Dilshan standing at 56. Dilshan fell first for 21 and Thirimana followed soon after for 29. Kumar Sangakkara managed to take the reins, playing a lone innings as the rest of the lineup collapsed. Sri Lanka lost its last 7 wickets for just 49 runs, with New Zealand all-rounder Corey Anderson taking 4 for 52 and Mitchell McClenaghan picking up 2 in a strong bowling display by the hosts.
It's embarrassing there.
David Miller hit his first international century to enable South Africa to recover from a poor start after being sent in to bat in the 4th one-day international against the West Indies at St George's Park. The left-handed Miller made 130 not out in a total of 262 for 8 in Port Elizabeth. However, it was a tail-ending performance by Sheldon, Cottrell and Andre Russell that led the West Indies to a 1-wicket win. Niluka Rajasekara of the Sri Lanka Army has established a new Sri Lankan record in the women's marathon event, which also saw her exceed the qualifying time to participate in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. She achieved this feat at the Hong Kong Marathon today.
Sri Lanka Army's Sampath Tissagunasekara and Niluka Rajasekara represented Sri Lanka at the Hong Kong Marathon this morning. Sampath Tissagunasekara managed to come in 6th place in the marathon. In the women's event, Niluka Rajasekara clocked a time of 2 hours, 40 minutes and 7 seconds to come in 5th position. Incidentally, Niluka broke her previous best time and Sri Lanka record for the event, which was 2 hours and 47 minutes set at the Colombo Marathon. Niluka Rajasekara, who exceeded the qualifying time to participate in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, expressed these views to Sports First.
I only trained for 2 months. During those 2 months, I worked hard in my training. I was determined to qualify for the Olympics. I wanted to at least clock my time even if I do not win a medal. I am pleased that I broke my own record by clocking such a time. Today I ran for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I am trying to run in a time where I can be able to win a medal.
On Thursday, Minister of Sports of the new government, Navin Dissanayake, announced that a committee would be appointed to investigate the fraud, corruption and other malpractices alleged to have taken place in the sports sector in the past. Starting tonight, Sports First will direct society once again to the allegations of fraud, corruption and other malpractices as a waypoint for these investigations. This is the bitter truth.
The providing of broadcasting rights of cricket tournaments for the Carlton Sports Network in violation of procedural norm caught the attention of the local public in the recent past. The situation led to a new turn when a decision by the previous cabinet was taken to provide the broadcasting rights of cricket tournaments to the state media and private media that dedicate themselves to sports. At the time of this decision, the Carlton Sports Network had commenced its operations and Sri Lanka Cricket had taken a decision to hand over the broadcasting rights of cricket tournaments to CSN for a sum of 125 million rupees. The chairman of the SLC back then, Upali Dharmadasa, also accepted that the Carlton Sports Network was under the purview of the sons of the ex-president of the country. As Nishantha Ranatunga, the secretary of Sri Lanka Cricket, was also serving as the CEO of the Carlton Sports Network, there began a conflict of interest, causing much debate on improper tender procedures being followed to call for broadcasting rights.
Cricket matches were always broadcast on Rupwahini, the state-owned media. This generates a great revenue for Rupwahini. However, over the recent past, the broadcasting rights were given to CSN, which is owned by the previous president's son. I am stating this with responsibility, and COPE was also informed of it.
What led to much controversy was that Carlton Sports Network, or CSN, was not only given the broadcasting rights of international cricket tournaments, but was also given the rights of domestic tournaments as well. The former accountant of the Department of Sports Development proves this claim in the complaint filed against the Director General of Sports. In this complaint, the accountant points out that a tender procedure was not called for when broadcasting rights for the 2013 National Sports Festival were given to the Carlton Sports Network.
The people of this country changed the administration with the aspiration of a major change. The same goes for the sports sector. We know that within the sports sector, media institutions under the Rajapaksa administration were given support through various accords and deals. However, the government is unable to break these bonds that have been reached. The Ministry of Finance has the capability of cutting funds for state advertisements and illegal contracts that are reached without any disciplinary process and other procedures. This is what the people hope for. If it does not transpire, the fate that befell the previous government would also fall on this government.
The agreements reached with Sri Lanka Cricket and the Carlton Sports Network in the broadcasting rights of domestic cricket matches end March this year. Minister of Sports Navin Dissanayake announced that once this agreement is over, Sri Lanka Cricket will be instructed to call for tenders for broadcasting rights of domestic matches. When inquired, Minister of Sports emphasized that a one-person committee will be appointed to investigate the controversial agreement reached between SLC and CSN. The bitter truth awaits the release of the report from this committee that would see good governance in sports.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.